We've run out of road. We have nowhere else to go but to do this hard work.
16 elementary schools in Jefferson County are on track to close, sending students and some staff to consolidate with other schools nearby. Colorado's second largest district is struggling with declining enrollment.
So today, district leaders released the proposed school closures and mergers. 9 News reporter Jennifer Meckles is in Jeffco, where the board's going to hear a lot from the community, Jenny, and then vote on those closures come November.
Yes, they will. But today, Kyle, this was about the who. Next will be the how. That will be the part where all these families will get their opportunity to finally talk with the board about this, because today was not a public comment day. But students and families at every one of the 16 schools will have a chance to discuss this transition. Jeffco, the second largest district in the state, says they're down more than 5,000 kids since 2019. Says declining birth rates mean fewer kids are coming up next, and even had to close 2 elementary schools in the past 2 years.
In my 16 months in this role, the impact of declining enrollment has been a constant pain point.
These are the schools the district is now proposing to close. 15 of them after this school year ends, and another 1 after the next school year ends. And for each closure, the district has named a nearby receiving school for those students to move. The district says this will affect more than 2,400 students. Jefferson County used this criteria to decide. First, did the school have an enrollment of less than 220 students this August? Or was it using 45% or less of its facility capacity? And is there another option less than 3.5 miles away?
We've run out of road. We have nowhere else to go but to do this hard work.
Board members said there is no joy in this work, but they called it necessary.
As sorry as I am that we have come to this point, I'm equally optimistic that our school district will emerge stronger because of the steps we are taking.
The district will hold community engagement meetings. Superintendent Tracy Dorland says those conversations will not change which schools are on the list, but rather how 2 school communities can best merge.
I don't want to close their school. None of us want to close a school, but we do believe we can have meaningful engagement around what do we want for our students, and how do we make sure that when we bring 2 school communities together, everyone feels welcome, and we can provide through a more robustly resourced school what that community specifically does want for its students.
So missing from this story is any parent perspective, right? Parent presence was very limited tonight. I talked to exactly 1 mother, but she told me at her school, Campbell, they actually started a petition because they wanted to convince the school board to keep it open. We'll see if that may be something that the board listens to moving forward. The vote on this, guys, doesn't happen until November this year.
But from what I heard there, it sounds like they're pretty set that these are the schools that are closing, and now the negotiations are just about how it's done.
Yeah, so the vote in November will be a slate. You vote on all 16 of these. It's not a one-by-one negotiating who's on the list and who's off. So I think the parents would maybe hope that they could reconsider all of them. But yes, the district says it's a vote on all of them at the same time. All
right, Jennifer Meckles reporting. Thank you.
Police in Lakewood arrested 4 people tied to a deadly shooting at a car wash last month. This happened at a business near 14th and Sheridan back on July 31st. When police got there, they found 27-year-old Ramon Castro Contreras dead inside his car. Police say 3 people in masks drove up to Contreras' car, parked at the car wash, and shot him when he tried to drive away. Investigators think 3 suspects also tried to rob several people near a bus stop at Colfax and Sheridan just before the shooting. This is surveillance video from another business that night. The next day, police arrested a man and a teenager they think were involved in the shooting. On Tuesday, police arrested another man and another teen. Lakewood police have not released the names of those 4 suspects, but they believe they're involved in several other crimes in the Denver metro area.
The deputy to Colorado's best-known election denier is taking a plea deal in their election tampering case. Belinda Knisley is promising that she will testify against her boss, Republican Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters. Knisley pleaded guilty today to trespassing, violation of duty, and official misconduct. She's looking at more serious charges for burglary and cyber crimes for her role in the security breach and tampering with voting equipment in Mesa County. Knisley told the judge that she broke the law at Peters' direction. If she testifies against Peters, Knisley will get 2 years of unsupervised probation. No jail time for the voting breach, something that the judge clearly struggled with today. Judge Matthew Barrett said, quote, "I had hesitation. I still have some about this plea agreement. Cooperation or not, these crimes are worthy of incarceration." Judge said, "My hands are tied."
School superintendent in Summit County says he's taken disciplinary action after the district waited to tell police about reports of staff members sexually assaulting multiple students. But the Summit School District says, well, they're not saying who or how they punish that person. Here's 9 News reporter Cole Sullivan.
In the first school board meeting of the year, the Summit County superintendent tried to reassure parents
that the health and safety of your children is our highest priority.
Earlier this month, prosecutors accused Summit Middle School PE teacher Leonard Grams of inappropriately touching girls in class. The first report from a middle school girl came in late September last year. Quote, "What happened was he put his hand on me, on my breasts," she wrote in a statement, according to an arrest affidavit. Investigators say it took district leaders a month and 6 other accusers before they called the sheriff's office. The mother of one student told police the district said her daughter was lying because she got a bad grade in class. The affidavit also says the district's HR director told the PE teacher, quote, "We don't call police right away unless it's so doggone obvious." District policy and state law both require educators to immediately report allegations of abuse to law enforcement or to Child Protective Services.
As we've mandated that 100% of our staff, no exceptions, complete mandatory training. I've completed it myself as well.
Now, the superintendent says staff have 3 weeks to complete training on the mandatory reporting law. Documents from the board meeting agenda show the district has hired someone to replace the HR director, and the PE teacher will leave the district next Wednesday. The affidavit says the district put him on paid leave when the sheriff's office got involved, but a district spokesperson will not say if they fired him.
And appropriate disciplinary action has been taken as well.
That district spokesperson says she cannot tell us what that disciplinary action is because it's a personnel matter. Earlier this month, the district attorney told me she's, quote, very aware of how long school leaders took to report the alleged assaults.
I guess we'll never know in this case, but it would be disheartening to think there was just a slap on the wrist for something like this. But like you say, the DA is paying attention.
And if the DA decides to bring charges and gets a guilty plea, it's a Class 2 misdemeanor punishable by up to a year in jail.
Okay. Cool, thank you. Denver's auditor is concerned about the future of social equity efforts in the city. He laid out criticisms against the Office of Social Equity and Innovation in a report released today. The audit says the office needs a stronger foundation to be successful, but Denver's mayor is calling that assessment flawed. Here's 9 News reporter Kelly Rinke.
Absolutely fair. I mean, I stand by the results of that audit, period.
Timothy O'Brien's job as the auditor in Denver is to provide transparency in government. His latest criticism is getting pushback from the city's mayor.
I feel like it's an attempt to distract from the criticism that you could find in the audit report.
That audit looked at the performance of the Office of Social Equity and Innovation. The group was created after Mayor Michael Hancock signed an executive order in 2020 to increase social equity and minimize racism in city government.
I think it's important to get in early and take a look at, does the organization have the right foundation and building blocks to be successful?
O'Brien said the office needs to make several improvements to be more efficient.
No goals and objectives, no policies and procedures, no metrics to say, how am I successful in terms of achieving those goals?
In a letter to O'Brien, Hancock said the office accepts every single recommendation, and the group was planning to implement them already. But he thinks the audit is incomplete. Hancock said it should have looked at the 207 days staff worked to support the city's response during the pandemic, like setting up testing centers and expanding public health education in underserved communities.
They try to say, that the pandemic, that the social unrest really prevented them from doing those kinds of things. Well, then I think they should have suspended the executive order, to be implemented at a later date.
Hancock says the city's equity initiatives began years before the executive order, and leaving that out in the audit is a disservice. O'Brien says his job is to look at how agencies could be more efficient and not to list accomplishments. In Denver, I'm Kelly Rinke, 9 News.
The audit also found that executive order is vague about the office's authority. The office can't force agencies to create certain plans or participate in training, according to this report. Staff told the auditor's office some departments were stonewalling them as a result.
One last big I-70 closure, and then that Central 70 project is supposed to be done.